Hi everyone, in this video we are going to continue with our generous styles. Now we know we have studied custom properties. We know that when we want to specify custom properties, it has to be the root element. There are two different selectors for the root element. One is HTML and the other one is the root pseudo class selector. Because it looks fancier, I'm just going to use that. Now, we have also talked about how the font size of the root element, it actually provides the basis for all the rem unit values that we use throughout our web page. It doesn't matter whether that rem unit is used in the width, in the height, in the border, in the padding, in the margin. It is always going to be based on the font size of the HTML page. So I'm going to say base font size for the entire page or website, and I'm going to change that, and by default it's 16 pixels. We have talked about that, but I'm going to change that to 10 pixels. The only reason that I'm doing this is because it just makes calculation easy. Now you might hear some people say, okay, it's not a good idea to change the font size, but it is a good idea to change the font size if you have control over it. If you don't forget it when you get to like 2,000 lines of CSS, and then you forget, okay, you have changed that font size, and things start to act out of normal. They don't act as you expect them to be. The height, the width, the flex units, the grid units, none of them. In that case, it's not okay. If you are a beginner and you're just getting started, my suggestion is just go ahead and change it to 10 pixels because it's a good habit. And it is going to be very concrete when you create like multiple websites. You're never going to forget that. But again, it's just a preference. For me, I always change it to 10 pixels because 10 pixels is easier. When I say 2 rem, I know it's 20 pixels. But if it is 16 pixels and I say like 5 rem, I need to think that, okay, now 5 rem, how many is that going to be? It's going to be 80 pixels, right? 5, 10, 50, 5, 6, 30. But when it is 10 pixels, I just know 5 rem, 50 pixels. Very simple. So it's just a preference. If you're okay with that calculation, then go ahead and just leave it as it is. But if you're like me, you're lazy at calculation, then you can just go ahead and change it 10 pixels. All right, let's dive in more. So first off, the first category of CSS custom properties is going to be colors, which are a lot of colors in here. Now, we have talked about custom properties. Now, we are going to talk about them in a real world project kind of context. Custom properties are created by providing 2 hyphens. We have talked about them. Now, it is a best practice that the first word of your property actually specifies or determines the nature of that property. So, what do we want to create a custom property for? It's either for some kind of length or a color or some kind of size. So if it is a color, the first word, it has to be color. That's a best practice because then you will not get confused. You will know, okay, this custom property, it actually talks about colors. And then what kind of color? Is it primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary, quinary, centenary? All of these colors, right? This is how I tackle the creation of my own websites. This is exactly how I do it when I just either do it as a project or do it for fun. So I'm going to say color because these are colors. I'm just going to say color. Now, any website is going to have multiple colors as the color palette. And I'm going to, depending on their importance, I'm going to classify them in this primary, secondary kind of classification. So I'm going to say primary. This is going to be our primary color. It's going to be an HSL value, 232, 15% for saturation, and then 19% for lightness, HSL, right? And then you need to terminate that with a semicolon. So this is our very first custom property, custom color for this website. I'm going to create 2 more as well for color primary. Again, this is The nature of the property is color. That's why I'm providing color. And I'm going to say primary. Now, sometimes you want lighter shades and darker shades of your primary color. Now, all of these colors that I'm creating here, of course, I'm not going to use all of them. The point is that you know how to tackle different scenarios when they come up. So the primary color is going to be modified, hence M. I could provide you with a comment, and I'm going to say M is equal to modified. Excuse me. Excuse me again. I don't know, for some reason my throat is just closing up as they change of the seasons, and it's all of these allergies that I have. So let's just dive in. So it is a modified light version of that. I could even simplify this, and I could say L stands for light, something like that. And I could say D stands for dark. Now, whenever you do this, make sure you provide proper meaning to your abbreviations, because we also have L for large, we have M for medium, right? So you need to make sure that these abbreviations, you address them correctly, so when in the future you come back, you're not getting confused as to what is what. What does M mean? It means modified. So this is an RGBA value. Sorry, again, HSLA. I'm just going to say HSLA. It's 231, 15%, and the next one is 19%. The alpha channel is going to be 0.55. And let's terminate that with a semicolon. I'm going to create another modification of the primary color. And this is modify dark. It is also an HSLA value. 231, 15%, 19%, 0.85. So that's it for this lecture. See you in the next one.